Good Monday morning. Boomer was supposed to be live from a hotel room this morning somewhere in D.C. I thought it was actually San Antonio, but he's live from D.C. was supposed to be. But we get a bunch of text messages last night that was not going to happen. So, yeah, fancy seeing you here, Jerry.
Hey, G, what's up, man?
Yeah, so good morning, Jerry.
How we doing?
So the last night was one of those nights I was like, all right, I can actually go to bed early, and I am going to do so. Like, I'm going to try to go to sleep around 8 o'clock. I'm going to shut my phone off. Nothing's going to happen. There's not going to be any issues. And then I get up to use the bathroom about 10:30, and I see just a slew, and I mean a slew of text messages from all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Boomer, Fliegelman, you, Spike.
What is Fliegelman in the mix?
Fliegelman was in the mix with the Sports Minutes.
Oh.
Because I had to do the Sports Minutes this morning.
Oh, look at you. How long did it take you to write them?
Yeah, okay. I just took the ones that were written for Boomer, and I said, I'm Greg Giannotti in for Boomer Esiason.
Who was your birthday shout-out?
Adam Silver was the birthday shout-out.
I was just kidding.
I made one editorial decision. There was a congratulations to Miguel Cabrera for the 3,000th hit. And Boomer had written in there, Felicidades, Miggy. And I said, no. I told Fliegelman, I'm not. I said, congratulations, Miguel. I couldn't.
Greg Giannotti.
Yeah, Felicidades, Miggy. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I read the Sports Minutes, and that was that. So, silly Boomer for thinking that this was going to work. Yeah.
I'm sadly not surprised, having tried to do this a few times myself.
Mm-hmm.
These hotels are not equipped for it. They're just not.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing I said to him when he left here on Thursday. He goes, all right, so remember, he's like, I'm out tomorrow, but Monday I'm from the hotel room. I swear, the last thing as he was standing right there with the door open as he's leaving, I say, hope that Wi-Fi works in that hotel. And he goes, and grunts and then leaves.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the old I told you so Boomer Esiason flex today. Because I did. I said, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. And you know what? I'm happy that we found out last night that it wasn't going to work.
As opposed to at 5 a.m.
Yeah, like in him going, gee, I was thinking about Kevin Durant. Boomer's gone.
Yep.
I wonder if he's coming back.
Shows. We've had that happen.
Oh, my God, it's the worst.
I know. Hey, Boomer's here.
So anyway, he's going to call in at 7 o'clock apparently and then complain and blame everybody for what happened.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And does that count as a day of work for him?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm going to try to get him off the complaining and talk about some of the things that happened over the weekend because, like, what's he going to do? He's going to be talking about Comrex stuff and Wi-Fi.
That no one cares about.
Nobody cares
And
about
blaming everyone else.
Yeah, right. That's true.
He's heady, Mike.
Spike comes in to me and he's like, he's very tired. He's like, his eyes are like half open. He just woke up. He's got his gym bag and stuff. And he just walks into my office and he goes, what happened? Do you know what happened? I said, I don't know what happened. I don't even know what city he was in.
I didn't either.
Washington, right?
Yeah, he was. He ended up, I thought he was in San Antonio. I said,
Originally.
I go to him. He's supposed to. I said to Spike, he was supposed to do a show from a hotel in San Antonio. And Spike goes, I think it was D.C. And I was like, was it? I don't even know. Bad communication around here.
Very
Terrible
much so.
communication.
Boomer, he was off last week.
Yeah, that is true. But so Al is back. Boomer is not. And we've got a show for you today.
Oh, tremendous.
So how'd your show go yesterday, by the way? What were your big national topics? NBA basketball?
It was.
Yeah,
it was. And then what happened at Yankee Stadium on Saturday actually seemed like it hit a nerve with a lot of people, which surprised me.
Yeah, you know what, though? It's going on in a lot of places,
I know
though.
it is.
So,
I
mean, I swear, and not to sound like some sort of alarmist, but I swear, like, we are on the verge of another Malice at the Palace, it feels like.
Don't disagree. When you got a guy scaling the wall, now he wasn't scaling the wall to go into the crowd.
Right.
But when you got a guy scaling the wall to scream at the fans for what they're doing and saying, we're getting to that point.
I mean, there is the level of disrespect that is going on is insane.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm watching the Yankee pregame yesterday, and I don't want to knock any of the people that were on there, but Meredith Marakovich and Jack Curry are talking, and they're like, very stern words about what happened. And I feel like they were trying to go out of their way to make sure that they weren't taking the company line with the Yankees and their fans on this situation. And this is despicable, and we got to make sure that this never happens again. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, and we heard a lot of this too. We got to make sure that this never happens again. Well, how are you going to do that? Like, this is so you get all these strong words. Everybody says the same thing, and all these hooligan Yankee fans, and man, look at them, and it's terrible, and we got to make sure something like that never happens again. But do we actually examine why it happened in the first place and then make some significant changes so it doesn't happen again?
But how are you going to make sense of why it happened? I think the only way, in my opinion, and I said this yesterday, that I think that you can make some sort of a stand is with, and I don't know if Yankee Stadium has it. The Garden has the facial recognition, and I know a lot of arenas do.
Kick them out forever.
Correct. And
Yes.
It's not just Yankee Stadium. If you're Rob Manfred, if you are caught throwing, there's the one scene where Mercado catches the bottle that was thrown right at his face.
Yep.
To me, if you find anyone that threw anything, they are banned from every stadium in Major League Baseball. And if you want to go further, you find out and you get aligned with the other commissioners and you ban them from every arena.
Think about some of these, just off the top of my head, obviously this one, the one with the Cowboys. Remember DeMarcus Lawrence was putting up his helmet and just basically blocking that one where Dak was like, oh, they were throwing it at the officials. And he was like, oh, well, then good for them. That whole thing. Kyrie Irving, who with some idiot fan was right in his face, and then he went and tapped the wrong guy on the shoulder. That one. Then there was one just before too, where the mouthpiece was thrown into the crowd.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff that's going on.
It has, and I had a couple callers yesterday say to me, back in the 1950s, these guys took a lot of the slings and the arrows too, and no one ever did anything. Well, for one, I don't know that they didn't do anything because we didn't have cameras set up everywhere like we do now and multiple angles. And two, I really do think part of it, and it's a good thing, I think, for the players to feel like they can respond because some of this stuff really does cross the line. I think the money has changed it, too. Back in the day, you probably wouldn't want to do something that's going to get you kicked out of the game or something because then what? In this case, these guys make so much money. They probably feel like I'm going to win in this fight as opposed to that jackass that's throwing things at me or saying God knows what to them.
Yeah, maybe. And also, a lot of stuff has changed since the 1950s.
That too.
People thought that butter was good for your heart in the 1950s. Things have changed. It's 2022. I also think that people have gotten very comfortable with saying whatever they want to people without getting their ass kicked.
Correct. There's no accountability.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with Twitter and Instagram and everything else. And then people bring that into you can't do anything to me. Like, I'm just going to say what I want, and you have to deal with it because you make a lot of money, or you're the baseball player, and I can do what
the example.
I'm the customer. It's like, come on.
Yep.
And I used to boo players when I was younger and really like an intense fan and go to Shea Stadium back in the day and just be screaming and booing the Phillies and booing Chase Utley and stuff like that. But I never, even at my craziest, ever thought to pick something up and hurl it at somebody. And a lot of people, here's the other issue, too, that the stadiums will never talk about, ever, is that you overserve a lot of these fans. And you'll never stop serving alcohol, ever, because you got an $18 can of beer that is just, the money is just flowing and flowing and flowing, and you got a bunch of drunk people who are basically jerks to begin with, and now their blood alcohol content is through the roof because you're feeding them 10 gazillion beers, and then you never want to mention that because of the revenue that you're bringing in.
And you don't want to upset your sponsors.
Well, that too. Yes, that's a big part of it.
All things that we were discussing. It's a big problem, and I don't know how you change it unless you're going to have. In hockey, you have the glass, but theoretically, you could throw stuff over the glass. But I do think that's somewhat of a deterrent. You're not doing that in baseball. You have the netting up. And that's to protect them from getting hit by a foul ball. You're not putting a shield around these people. You actually need. How about this concept? You need humans to actually act like good people.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. So this goes back to my original point of when people say we will ensure that something like this will never happen again. You can't.
I mean,
because the
look
system.
at what that fan is doing.
I know.
Do you see the sign he's making right in the guy's face?
I did. Yes, I saw
Because
it.
that guy would pummel the crap out of him if he ever did it on the sidewalk.
100%. It's people are way
I didn't
too
notice
comfortable.
that until just now.
Yeah, people are way too comfortable being disrespectful. Yeah, yeah. The sign that
Oh
was
my
well,
God!
the
Right in his
symbol that was
face.
made. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a wonder he didn't climb up there and just start beating the hell out of him.
I've seen that video 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. That's the first time I just noticed that clown.
Yeah, no, I saw it yesterday. Yeah, I know. So like, it's going to keep happening.
Wow.
It's going to get worse, and until another one of these crazy incidents happens again, where
Tonight?
could be.
I
Yeah.
know.
Excuse
I know.
me. Yeah. I mean, it really could. And in the basketball, in the NBA playoffs, I mean, you got these psychos that are running out on the court in Minnesota because of the whole the animal rights stuff
Happened
that's going
again
on.
over the weekend.
But did you see that security guard was all over it?
Yes. Tackled him.
Yeah, but they knew something was up there because there were two of them, and then one pulled out the phone, and then you saw them kind of inch towards the edge of their seat, and then they ran, and then the security guard, boom, flattened them like Brian Urlacher back in the day.
And that does happen from time to time.
Yeah,
Which is tremendous when it happens.
yeah. I mean, and I hate to sound like a prude, but honestly, who the hell wants to go to an environment like that?
Right. And it's one thing to boo, even I have no problem with the "you suck" and all. That's
Yeah.
fine. But man, and the one example I'll always come back to is when LeBron had the one fan kicked out that courtside seat.
That's right, yeah.
The story said they were screaming at him that they hope his son dies in a fire.
Yeah, right.
Why would you ever say that to another human being?
Yeah, well, because they want attention, they're drunk, and they have no respect. That's what it comes down to. Absolutely none. I mean, it's just like you go to a game, you want to root for your team. All right, sometimes you don't like the opponent. That's fine. You want to get in their ear, good-natured ribbing, fine. But throwing stuff at them and all these things to get their attention, I think that the players have had it. Because, Boomer brings this up, too. He goes, it was one thing to play in an opposing stadium and hear it, or even your home stadium with your home fans getting on you. And that was one day out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys deal with it
Every day.
every single day.
Yep.
So they'll, have a bad game, look down on their social media. You suck, die, you're a bleep. All of these things. And then they go out and they're playing in the middle of the game and they're hearing it now in their ear from someone that they can actually physically get to. Half the time I don't blame these guys for losing their minds.
Let me ask you, what would have happened if Mercado doesn't catch that bottle and it hits him square in the face?
I mean,
what happens?
Cut up and be a disaster. Yeah, that person should be arrested. Hopefully there's some sort of consequence, like real consequence for the people that were throwing the bottles on the field. There has to be.
You would think.
Because that's the only thing that you're going to be you can actually do about it. I just hate the I just hate the soapbox stuff where nobody are the Yankees really going to do anything about it, or they're just going to tell you that this was despicable?
No, I think they'll do what they can. I do. I think it goes higher than them, but I do think I would be stunned if that fan's not banned from that stadium.
Yeah.
I would be shocked. And fans, because it was more than one. It was
Yeah,
several,
right.
actually. And the fact, too, that your guys, after they win a game like that, the hooligans, the fact that the Yankees actually have to go out there to ask them to stop.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Stanton's doing this. He's doing the throat thing, stop it, cut it out type of deal. And Aaron Judge out there doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And I heard this on the radio before I saw it. I was listening to John and Susan outside, and I'm like, man, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And I went inside. My one son was watching, so I was able to rewind it. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
And they called it and described it perfectly. Susan was on top of it because I think who was it? Was it Straw? Which one was climb? Was it Mercado or Straw? Whichever one that was climbing. Like it was him that was climbing the vent. John clearly looked down at something for a stat, and she caught it immediately.
Yeah.
And she was right on top of it. It was terrible.
Well, watching it on TV live, the camera's focused on Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, sure.
Rounding first and then going back to his teammates. And then all of a sudden, boom, the camera cuts and you just see debris all over the outfield. What in the hell is going on?
Yep.
It's just insanity.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see
There
if
was one, just maybe on the other side at some point. I went back and I tried to find like bad fan incidents in the history of sports.
Yeah.
I found one from Cleveland that's actually not great, but relatively funny at the same time. So I'll give you some of the details of that one at some point this
All
morning,
right.
too.
I'm sure Cleveland's got a lot of them.
They've got a few.
They've got
a few.
They've got plenty. All right, it is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network, just getting started.